Rock and Joe. Rock and Joe. Rock and Joe. Rock and Joe. Rock and Joe.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Rock and JOUV Show.
Welcome back. We got a little playoff episode coming on, and we got a special guest if you would like to introduce him real quick.
Hello, guys. Thanks for having me.
No one introduced him yet.
He needs no introduction. All the way from Somerset, Massachusetts, we have nasty Nate McShane here in Nashville, Tennessee. Just for this episode, we flew him out. It was very expensive, but he's out here. It's worth it.
It's part of my contract. Yep.
Yeah, you know what? You know it's worth it. They didn't even fly me out to Nashville, but they flew Nate, and that's how good of a guest this guy's gonna be today.
Damn right now.
You bet your sweet ass. So, as the NBA playoffs roll, unfortunately, two titans of the basketball world have fallen, and
probably the two favorites in the Eastern Conference.
The two favorites, two absolute powerhouses, the Boston Celtics and the New York Knickerbockers, have fallen.
Surprisingly, both in 5 games.
Yeah.
I think if we thought these series were going 5, it was the other way.
Yes. No, absolutely. Yours definitely surprised me a little bit, but not
I'll be honest,
much
it was
as I anticipated, kind of. So I'd love to get to the Knicks in a little bit. Since we have the guest over here, we might as well start talking a little Celtics. Nate, if you want to just give a quick recap of the Boston Celtics postseason, that would be great.
Postseason?
Yes. So we had the playing game.
So playing game was good, right? So Tatum pretty much just put everyone in his backpack. Everyone was decent. And then we hit the Nets. And, of course, we kind of knew what we were expecting there. But it was a little more depressing just to go through it, I would say. And to be there physically like Ashton and I were.
Yeah, Nate and I went for Game 4. So since Boston had won at home a couple nights before, that we avoided the sweep and we went to a loss. But then when we went, it was down. We were down 1-3, so it wasn't that bad. But yeah,
that's pretty bad.
Okay. Well, I mean, ultimately...
It gets worse. We'll talk about it. It gets worse.
Ultimately, of course, this is, I feel like, always what happens with the Celtics is we play teams at, like, their full strength. So we play Brooklyn. They have Harden, Kyrie, and KD. And as soon as they're done playing us, Harden gets hurt in the first 45 seconds of Game 1, right? Or 2 or something. Yep. And then now Kyrie's hurt.
Game 1.
Was that?
Yeah, no, it was literally like first 45 seconds of Game 1.
It was ridiculous, dude. So, of course,
Kyrie's
we don't
be
get
out
that.
Game 5.
Yeah, we don't get that shit. Kyrie is out now. The series is like 2-2, I'm pretty sure. We don't get those breaks. But, whatever.
We actually got the opposite of that, right? I mean, not to make the injury excuse, but even if we were fully healthy, we don't stand a chance. But we have, obviously, Jaylen Brown. We had Kemba Knee and Robert Williams, like everything from head to toe. So that didn't help.
Yeah,
either.
Kemba did not play the game that we were there. So they won, right, forcing it to be 1-2. And then Kemba was out.
Oh, right. I forgot about that.
Yep.
And, as Nate had said, Brown had already left for the season with some wrist injury, right? And
yeah, that was
so
tough.
The game we went to was literally just Tatum and, like, Romeo Langford started.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what were we working with? I think we could have won another game. Seriously, I think we could have took with me and Nate being in that Boston Garden with Aiden and my dad, and how just loud we were yelling at people, at Kyrie Irving, just screaming his name. Oh my God! Like, we definitely could have won that game just from our willpower alone. But
no, the thing is, somebody listening at home is probably like, "The fuck are these guys talking about?" Like, nobody cares, dude. Like, they probably can't even hear what you're saying. You're probably so far away. But in that playoff atmosphere, dude, like, I know exactly what you're talking about,
yeah,
bro.
And I will
like,
say Ashton
I put
where they were in talking distance to players.
Yeah, we were. At the Loge, man. We purposely got those seats so we could rock.
literally just about everybody there. It's like all diehards at this point. Like the people that are going to basketball games after the pandemic right now, like these are the diehards. And I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Like for your game, it was probably like 99.99% Celtics fans there.
Oh yeah, I didn't see many Nets fans. I saw.
Yeah,
a
dude.
few,
Like
but
how
the energy.
how awesome was that?
The energy was just crazy.
Yeah, also being the first max capacity game at the Garden since COVID, right? I think
Yes,
yeah.
that's true. That was the first max capacity game.
Oh yeah.
Was your Garden max capacity, Al?
No, it was. I think we had 16,000. It was like,
Well, you guys hold like 20 something, right?
yeah. I think we hold like, I think we hold at least like 22, but it was like 3/4 of it was max capacity, and then like another, I don't know, maybe like quarter, a little more of it was the non-vaccinated section. So like the seats were like spread out and stuff like that.
Interesting. Yeah, but I mean, like we were saying, it was just a pretty, I guess, not very exciting series. Honestly, as it is with most basketball, the excitement came after the series, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But I just want to say that I mean, Kevin Durant was quoted in saying, like, I'm sure everybody saw the quote, but he said, hey, I played against Kobe, I've played against Tim Duncan, I've played against LeBron, and he was like, I'm now going to put Tatum in that category. Like, him being 23 and being that, like, amazing of a player is very special. So
Didn't he have a 50?
That was coming right from KD.
Didn't he have a 50 bomb? Didn't Tatum have a 50 bomb in one of
he
those
had
games?
50. He had 40.
I think he had 50, 40, 30 the last 3 games. Right?
Yeah. I mean, that's
dude.
I mean, he's an incredible scorer, but also on the defensive end, I mean, he's also playing like 40-something minutes a game, and when Kemba was out, I mean, I don't want to say it was close. They ended up breaking away a little later, but it was within striking distance, if we had Kemba.
No, yeah, it was at striking
At
distance
halftime, we were
basically the
down,
whole
like, what,
game.
like 12. Like,
Yeah.
there was a run to be made if
But, I mean, so, yes, it was upsetting. Did anybody maybe really think that we were going to win? I was quoted saying Celtics in 5,
Celtics in 3 actually.
Yeah. But
That was the most Ashton Rock thing I've ever heard in my life.
But, the Nets took it at 5. I knew the Celtics were going to take a game, though. I had been saying that whole time.
Say that, yeah.
I knew they were going to take a game just because, I mean, Kyrie is so mentally weak that the first time he stepped into the Garden, what did he have, like 10 points? And the next time he had 40, but, I mean, whatever. The sequel's never as funny. Like, you had a whole extra game, So, dude, I think that guy is a coward, but that's this...
And he didn't play in the Garden until he had his healthy team with him. Right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, he didn't play on
Last
his
year he didn't. Yeah.
He never played on.
Yeah, he didn't play last year.
Yeah.
They should have gave him
Yo,
like one of those videos, a highlight video or whatever.
Burn some saves.
they should have given him a highlight video of him like bricking up and like
Oh my god.
quitting on defense and shit.
I wish they would have done that. Oh. But
Dude, that would have been so funny. I would have pissed my pants.
I can't start talking about him or else I'll get angry, so I'm not gonna do that.
I'm just gonna have to ask the question. How like I saw some videos. I saw a video of like the pregame the pregame announcements where a whole Celtics a whole TD Garden was going like fuck Kyrie, and then they announced his name, and then you couldn't even hear them say his name. That's how loud they were booing. How good were the fuck Kyrie chants?
Oh, great. I mean, I think if you watched even not just the Celtics game, right? The Red Sox game leading up to that, the fans were chanting. Fuck Kyrie
Dude,
at the
I
Red
saw.
Sox game.
I saw that.
Yeah,
Yo,
they were doing it at the Bruins series. It even wasn't just the Garden either. We went to a bar before the game, before we went into the Garden right up the street, and they were chanting it in the entire floor of the bar as well. So it was deafening to say the least.
And I had wore a custom jersey that I had designed myself. So I wore my Kyrie jersey, and on the back over the 11, I had duct taped. I wrote traitor, and I wrote coward on the back. And everybody liked my jersey, man. Everybody in the bar, they were taking pictures of it. I mean, it was nice to see the camaraderie around that one fact of just hating Kyrie.
That's so funny.
It's like for one day, everybody in Boston just kind of felt the same way. It was very nice.
I think he was clearly affected by it. I think the first game, like you said, he had like 11 points or something like that. I think he was clearly affected by it.
Yeah.
I think anybody would be. And then you saw at the end, he went and he stomped on the face of the guy in the Celtics logo.
Yeah,
it's pathetic.
Yeah.
See, dude. Yeah, I mean, if you want to do a little Kyrie bashing, I could definitely do it in a little bit. But just I just want to clarify something. When you saw on ESPN, the guy threw the water bottle, right?
Yes.
So you saw Kyrie was heading into the tunnel, and then somebody threw a water bottle. Everybody was like, well, yeah, of course he stepped on the head. The guy threw the water bottle at him. No, he stepped on the logo and then walked into the tunnel to go to the locker room, and then that's when somebody was pissed and then threw the water bottle at him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, dude, I mean, come on. He's just...
Not to defend the guy, but the story did get twisted, right?
Exactly,
So,
yeah.
Yeah, no, exactly.
All the fans doing that, there's no place for that. I'm just saying... They try to the media will kind of try to take his side. And it's like, well, he's being a jerk. A lot of like old Celtics players spoke up and were like, yeah, you don't step on somebody's logo like that. You know what I mean? Like we were just watching something today with Big Baby Davis. He was like, dude, I got to be honest. He was like, you hurting your ankle, that's karma. Because that's the same ankle you stepped on Lucky with.
Oh,
like,
I did
shit
see
means
that.
Something,
The thing is, like, on one hand, like not the gamesmanship. What's the word I'm thinking of? Just the pettiness of going to step on the logo, like after they won a game or whatever. I get in a way, like I would never do that, but I respect the pettiness, but also like I'm not saying that he deserved to get a water bottle thrown at him. That's not what I'm saying. But like the whole back and forth, whatever. It's like a whole back and forth. Like he's gonna get backlash for stepping on the logo,
that's why he's such
and then
a
also
coward.
he's gonna be trying to kick your guys' ass because they're chanting "fuck Kyrie" and this and that. You know what I mean?
like,
So
dude,
it's just like a back and forth.
You did, you said you were gonna stay and then you left. So yeah, we're gonna say fuck Kyrie. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely, bro.
Don't be stupid. Like Durant would get booed, like just a little bit, just because I think people have a lot of like bad blood for Durant. But I gotta tell you, dude,
because he fucking ruined the league for 3 years.
100% of the time that he held the ball, Al, I booed. 100% of the time. Did not miss one boo.
Good for you.
That's the sock guarantee. But look, enough about the Celtics here. Why don't you tell us about the Knicks playoff run? First one in how many years, right? 8 years or something?
Yeah, it was 8 years. The last time was 2012-13. That was like the year Carmelo won scoring champ. JR won a sixth man. Tyson might have won defensive player that year or the year after. I forget. But whatever. That was like the best. That was like the best team, the best Knicks team that I ever watched, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, I was very young when they made the finals. I was 2. Like, I remember, like, Latrell Sprewell. That was, like, my first favorite player. But I was very young, you know what I mean? So, I'm not going to lie. Like, when we got matched up against the Hawks, I was like, okay, you know what? We actually beat them. We played them 3 times in the regular season. We swept them.
Wait, Al, so you were the 4 and they were the 5?
Yeah, we were the 4, right? So, we had home court. We swept them in the regular season. And I was like, Knicks are fucking winning this series. I was like, the Knicks are fucking winning this series. I mean, I really wanted that 4. I thought home court would be something really important to get. I didn't want to play Milwaukee. I knew if we played Milwaukee, we might maybe win a game, and it would just be a shit show. I mean, I know we beat them by 21 time in the regular season, but like, I don't know. I just you didn't want to play Giannis. You didn't want to play Milwaukee. So we avoid Milwaukee. We even avoid the Heat, who went to the finals last year, but they sucked in the playoffs, bro. That's a whole different story. But I'm like, you know what? we could beat the Hawks. We could definitely beat the Hawks, right? And I was like, the second tickets went on sale, I had a little conference call going with one of my buddies and my brother. He's not even a Knicks fan, but he was like, he was still trying to go, you know. And like we're all just trying to click the link. The tickets are flying, and finally I got in. And I was able to get 4 tickets, and I was like, all right, let's get it. And let me tell you, dude, pulling up to the Garden, I was at game 1, so that's the first. Like, no, it wasn't max capacity, but the first like game where there were 16,000 fans there since the pandemic. First playoff game in 8 years. Let me tell you, dude, the atmosphere there was fucking special. Like, just walking into, like, the Penn Station entrance to the Garden, dude, everybody outside is, like, cheering and going, like, let's go Knicks, and just hyping each other up and taking videos and everything like that. It was just insane, dude. And the whole walk into the arena was just basically that. And then, like, on your way up, they had like ushers, not ushers, but whatever. They had people at like these tables handing out like the free shirts they give, and then everyone gets that, and everyone's like losing their mind. They're like, bro, we're in the fucking playoffs, like we here. And it was just basically like that. It was just like surreal. Like, we didn't think that we would be in the playoffs. We didn't even think that there would be like fans for games. Like, who even knows? And just, I don't know, and especially like the intros, like Stephen A. Smith was there. I saw him. He was maybe like 40 feet away from me. He was like hyping up the fans there. It was kind of funny. I don't know, and just the atmosphere. Everybody just knew that it was just like some crazy shit was going on, and I don't know, and like especially the intros, dude. Like, everyone was losing their mind for the intros. Like, you couldn't even hear Julius Randle's name when the poor PA announcer's like straining his voice to be heard. And like, I don't know. It just, even throughout the whole game, like we were losing a little bit early on, but even in the first quarter, we just started going like, fuck Trae Young, you know. We just thought that shit was funny. I don't know who started it. I know our section was definitely like, we were doing that shit in the first quarter. I'm not gonna lie. Why? No fucking idea. Do I regret it? Because he was averaged 30 points a game for the whole series and whatever? Absolutely not. But just like anytime anything like good happened, dude, my section for that game was just like a mosh pit. Everyone's like fucking, like, someone hits a 3, everyone's like jumping up and down and screaming and shit. And like the whole game, I mean, it was like all diehards there. So I'm like yelling at Clint Capella, telling him he's fucking dog shit. I'm like talking to Gallinari. Like, I was at the 200s. These fuckers can't hear me. I don't care, dude. Like, I'm ripping Gallinari's haircut the whole game. Like, I don't know, Bogdanovich. Who the fuck cares? I'm just like screaming at all these dudes. And, like, everybody else was, like, doing the same thing. It was sick. And then, like, RJ dunked on Bogdanovich. I like, almost blacked out, bro. That was the craziest shit. Everybody was, like, I saw videos of the crowd, and everybody just, like, lost their fucking mind. Like, they called a timeout after, and there was, like, 2 minutes during that timeout. Everybody was still just, like, what the fuck just happened? Like, he literally just did that shit. And then we had a decent lead in the fourth quarter, and then we kind of just gradually lost it. And then with like a minute, Julius hit a 3 to put us up by 1. Again, everyone going ape shit, and then we kind of went back and forth. We were losing, and then Derrick Rose had the little floater to tie it. Again, everyone going ape shit, but we're like, fuck, we just got to get one stop. And we couldn't do it, and everybody was just, honestly, the Garden was like dead quiet.
Yeah, it always comes down to that one play. You know what I mean? And
dude, and
Derrick Rose is like experienced.
Oh my God, Derrick Rose. Beside the last game, he was terrible. He was just he just looked tired out there. But the whole series, he was our best player. Honestly, he's better than Julius, better than RJ. In that game, in the first game, Alec Burks at 18 in the fourth quarter, dude. He was going off fuck. And then Trae Young hits that little floater. Like, they put Frank in on him, and he was cold. And I was like, all right, you know what? Like, Frank is the guy. I wanted him to be getting minutes guarding Trae to begin with. But, and then they ran that little screen play, and he got cooked. Had a free layup, hit it. And the Garden was quiet, and then Trae Young was, like, shushing everyone. And I was like, all right, that sucked. That sucked balls. But I was immediately like, I need to be back for a playoff game. So, like, 2 days later, I bought tickets for fucking Game 5. I was like, I have to go back for that shit.
It's crazy to me because I feel like we kind of had a similar thing to you guys where you guys had a villain and you guys won a game, but we both probably had the two of the more, I mean, you guys, I feel honestly had the most exciting series of the first round.
Dude, we
Truly.
had like a great, it was probably Mavs Clippers because that shit went 7, but
Yeah, but I always knew the Clippers were going to win.
no, but like the Knicks Hawks games were all good, and then towards the end it was like the same thing where like it was a close game at halftime, and then in the third quarter, every single third quarter we got killed.
Yeah,
And then,
let me rephrase my statement. Your series was the most kind of like I don't know. It was the most intense, would you say? Like
no, it was
like,
I was definitely the most intense.
Clippers
dude. It
Mavericks
was,
was,
like, chippy.
just like, yeah, that had better basketball and stuff, but you guys had a real hatred for Trae Young. Like
No,
that video that
exactly.
came out with all those freaking Nick Jabronis just being like,
Oh
I
shit!
hate
Yeah, that
Trae
was so
Young."
funny.
That was
The guy
such
with
a
the
funny
fucking the guy with the Spider-Man, like, yo, if you saw Trae Young, what would you do right now? It's like, I'd knock him the fuck out.
Yeah, he was like, I'd shoot that son of a bitch. He was like,
Dude,
if
that
he
shit
ever
was-
comes to my neck of the woods, I'll shoot him. Just so
Yeah,
funny.
that shit was fucking wild. Yeah, dude, and it wasn't just Trae Young either, because like the Hawks were like crying a little bit before the series started. Nate McMillan's like, the NBA like needs the Knicks to win this, so I think they're gonna be getting favorable calls, and then that was the exact opposite of what happened. Fucking Trae Young got everything, bro.
That's a pathetic
Like-
thing to say when you have Trae Young. I mean,
Yeah.
Oh my
the guy
god!
is a
And
walking
Game
foul
5.
call.
Yeah.
Game five had the worst officiating, bro. I was losing my mind. But where was I? Oh, dude, it was like all of them, and then like John Collins was like smirking, like, oh, we know the secret how to shut down Julius, but the secret was that Julius just wasn't hitting shots and he wasn't in a rhythm. Like, shut the fuck up, John Collins, like literally at that point was averaging like 10 points per game in the series. Like, he literally had one competent game of basketball. Like, John Collins, you're literally on the fucking trade block, bro. Oh my god, I still like. Oh shit! And then Clint Capella was like crying about the Knicks doing like illegal screens or something like that.
Yeah.
No, somebody was.
A lot of
No,
complaining. from
McMillan was crying about the illegal screens, and then
Dude, that's like when we play the Raptors. Kyle Lowry's flopping. Nick Nurse is crying the
Dude.
whole time.
oh my yeah,
the worst
yeah,
basketball.
dude, that's all the Raptors were doing. Yeah, and then Capella was like, "Oh, the Knicks are playing." The Knicks are like being dirty right now with their hard fouls. And then so Game 5 where we started chanting fuck Capella too, dude. Like the fuck Capellas were starting like on the escalator up before the game even started.
That's good. I mean, honestly,
Dude.
and it was good for Trae Young to kind of have that,
Oh yeah.
you know.
No, he had his playoff moment, his
did.
whole villain origin story.
Yep.
Yeah, Al, I think that's the biggest thing I was going to ask you about was how you felt about that performance. Because, you know, I've been on the record for not being a big Trae Young fan, but I will say from the bits and pieces that I saw from that series, what he did was just good for the NBA, right? Just that villain side of things, you know.
I would say yes and no. Like he was doing a lot of foul baiting, especially Game 5. He was doing so much foul baiting, and it was
Okay,
pissing me the fuck off. But on the flip side of that, no, I agree. Like that whole villain thing that he kind of started with the Knick fans, and like kind of as a whole, I think a lot of people don't like Trae Young because for a lot of reasons, for the same reasons why people don't like James Harden. The flopping, the foul baiting, and like honestly, that shit pisses me off too. I get that it's a part of the game, but like the guys that go above and beyond, like I don't know, that shit pisses me off. But that being said, Trae Young's ability, I mean, to really shoot out to like 40 feet, to be able to blow by just about any defender. And really, he's a highly intelligent basketball player. I mean, like especially once like Nate McMillan came around and like as the head coach instead of what the hell, Lloyd Pierce. And like a lot of their guys started getting healthy, like Bogdanovich and those guys, DeAndre Hunter, like whatever, they became a much better team. But his like, he's one of those guys that people always say like, oh, guys like make players around them better. Like Trae Young absolutely does that. And like the thing is, like, Trae Young gained an enemy in myself, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like Trae Young, like I'll always, every time I play the Hawks, I'll be like, fuck Trae Young. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's good.
But that being said,
Yeah.
I also honestly gained a lot of respect for him.
Exactly.
Like, I will not be rooting for him, but I respect the shit out of his game. I respect the fact that he was talking. Like, I'll say, like, he wasn't really crying during the series. At least during games he was. But after, like, to the media, he wasn't really crying at all. He was kind of just, like, taking the fuck Trae Young chance, the Trae is balding, all that shit. He was just, like, taking it in stride, just like, all right, whatever. Like, we'll see you in the A. Like, we'll,
I liked that. We'll see.
Yeah.
You
like,
down
I'll
in the
let
A.
my game. He was like I'll let my game do the talking, and he really did. And then at the end, everybody was like, we were kind of just giving the Knicks a standing ovation for the season, and then he pulled a shot from the logo and hit it, and then he bowed, and everyone's like, "Fuck you!" Like, "Fuck you!" Booing the shit out of him.
Yeah, so that's more what I was getting at.
At the same time,
yeah.
like, I booed the shit out of him, but I also like, if someone like say next year we play the Hawks and like we eliminate them in Atlanta or some shit, and like RJ fucking, I don't know, hits a step back three and like Kevin Herter's asshole to clinch the series, and then like bows, like, I'll eat that shit up, you know what I mean? So I will probably never root for Trae Young or that Hawks team ever again. They I hate them. Fuck them. I'm honestly I'm not really watching their series with Philly, but I don't even like Philly. I know, Ashton, I know you don't like Philly. You've had a bunch of playoff series with them.
Yeah, but we
I don't
beat them, so they're like our little brother. You know what I mean?
That's facts. That's facts. I like kind of don't like. Usually, I would be like, oh, whatever. The Hawks are cool, like this, like up and coming team. But fuck them, bro. Like, fuck everyone on that team. I swear to you. That being said, definitely respect the shit out of Trae Young.
Yeah, and Al, that's more what I was getting at when I said it was good for the league, right? I hate the foul baiting stuff too with him, and that's the reason why I've, kind of gone down for not being a big fan of his. But my whole thing was, in a league nowadays where everyone's so more like on the buddy side, everyone's friends. I think that was good to see that like competitive villain aspect there. So that was more what I was getting at. Yeah.
No, I completely agree.
People like to have. I mean, like, the last villain we really had was KD, and he was like, I don't really give a shit. You know what I mean? Like, at least Trae Young was like, yeah, I give a shit. Yeah, I'm the bad guy. Like, and that, and like that, honestly, like you're saying, like, that was exciting for me, and I didn't even care about that series, to be honest with you. But it was exciting for me because I was like, ooh, this is the bad guy. It's like, is he gonna hit the shot and make everybody else cry, or is he gonna hit the shot and make everybody else cry? You miss the shot. You know what I mean? So. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I hope we see more villains. You know what I mean?
No, I'll be honest. Like, the NBA needs that shit, because like for a long time there kind of wasn't. Like in 2010, LeBron became the villain because he did the whole Miami super team. I mean, like, Wade was there, Bosh was there, but he was like the guy who orchestrated it. He was the one who was going not one, not two, and he kind of, that shit definitely affected him. Like, you could clearly tell that he wasn't comfortable in that villain role. Like, he tried to lean into it, but that just like wasn't him. And I don't know. I think that he wanted when he went to Miami, he wanted it to be like this great thing. Everyone was gonna hop on the bandwagon. Everybody was gonna be rooting for him to finally win a title, but it just wasn't the case. Yeah. And I think that clearly affected him. And then, I mean, in 11-12 was definitely, I think that was the best Heat team. Like, that was, 11-12 was the time they beat the Thunder. Like, that was probably the best that we saw LeBron. Yeah, I mean, Dwayne Wade was still in his prime.
Not everybody's cut out for it. That's really what it comes down to. I don't think I could have an entire arena of people hating me, but, you know.
Yeah, and I feel like kind of after that, he leaned into it a little bit more.
Yeah.
But then I think he still doesn't really like it that much, and I think that's a lot of why he did go back to Cleveland, because then all of a sudden he had the whole hero narrative, and I think in his mind that better suits what he wanted to do. But yeah, there was kind of like LeBron was the villain for a little bit, and then KD went to Golden State and he was the villain. But like who else? Like, can you name any more villains?
Any more villains?
Like individual Kyrie.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate because a lot of like the United States doesn't really care about Kyrie either way, and I'm like, how do you like? It's so bullshit to me because like if Luka, like, okay, I bet nobody in Dallas cares about Kyrie at all, right? I bet they like are like, well, it's fine, like whatever. But it's like if Luka were to say, I'm gonna hang a jersey here and then leave, I think everybody would be pissed. So it's like, why do you not making Kyrie the villain is basically like not having an insurance that any player is going to stay with any team. You know what I mean?
Oh, literally.
Like if you don't punish that behavior with boos, like if everybody in the entire NBA doesn't boo Kyrie Irving, then that's basically saying, oh yeah, like Damian Lillard, like go ahead, say you want to retire here and then leave. You know what I mean? So it's just, I don't know.
Yeah, and like, no, I completely agree. And I feel like the thing is Kyrie, I think he kind of wanted to avoid the whole thing. Like, sure, he's going to be the villain in Boston.
Yeah.
But he's like saying like shit like, oh, we're going to we're going to unite the world with this title run. Like, first of all, what the fuck does that even mean? Second off, like you could no, oh my god. I that team pisses me off so much.
It's not even United State. Like it makes no sense.
Yeah.
Bro, no, literally, like, they have, like, 10 fucking fans. Like, I gotta tell you, like, they have 10 fucking fans. Bro,
And
like,
so,
I mean...
But, you know, whatever, we talked about the playoff series, but Boston is going to look a lot different next year, regardless of any roster changes, because, you know, Danny Ainge is out as GM, a GM that I considered to be mostly great, honestly. And Brad Stevens, a head coach who I also consider to be mostly great, even though sometimes a little more passive than I would have liked. But so Danny Ainge is out at GM, and Brad Stevens moves into that role, and the head coaching spot is vacant. So Nate, what do you want to give me some of your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I still really haven't digested that one fully. I guess I'm still a little skeptical. And I'd say I mainly agree with you with the Danny Ainge take, and he's cut a lot of slack, I would say, recently. Like I know he left a pretty bare roster this year, and there's other complaints, but if you look at all of his big moves that he's made in the past few years, like if you go back in time, like you do all of those moves again, like every single one of them. Like he didn't know. I know you have to judge a GM in hindsight, right? But you didn't know that Gordon Hayward was going to turn the glass here, or Kemba was going to turn the glass here, or you know the Sixers were going to give Horford $100 million. Or Kyrie's going to lie to us and leave. Like,
yeah.
I mean, you can't predict that kind of stuff. And I think they were all good moves at the moment. But I know they didn't really turn out to be so. So, yeah.
Let's not forget that he made the trade. He traded 2 Hall of Famers and got us Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. I mean, he rebuilt the team by making a really gutsy call. He won us a title, got us Tatum, Brown. He drafted Smart.
I mean, he got you guys Isaiah Thomas for literally pennies on the dollar from Phoenix.
Pennies for Isaiah Thomas.
And dude was a 2-time All-Star. He might have been. Yeah. He was All NBA. He averaged almost 30 points a game.
Like a few playoff runs for free. You know what I mean? Like we were literally technically rebuilding at that time.
Yeah. Also, something that I think goes overlooked with Danny too is literally the draft pick of Jason Tatum. Like you had the first pick. I mean, it was kind of like just league-wide consensus that Markelle Fultz was the best player in the draft. And Danny
it was all Fultz and Ball. That was the debate. People thought Josh Jackson was going number 3.
Exactly, and I mean he had that number 1 pick, which is probably the most valuable asset I would say in basketball, besides like a star player. But and
that draft was loaded too.
Yeah, and the trade off of that, where the consensus was the guy that you could have had, and the target Tatum, and obviously we all know how that worked out. But you know, I don't know. That's just my take.
No, yeah, that move was great.
I think if I ever had a complaint with Danny, it would be that he was a little more passive, and it would be my same complaint with Brad. I like somebody that's aggressive. You know, I hope that Brad. I mean, as far as head coaches, I mean, I don't know about you, Nate. I'll get your opinions here in a second. I would like to see. I mean, I'd take Terry Stotts. I'd take D'Antoni. I would take Becky Hammon. I really would. I don't want. I see a lot of reports about Chauncey or Cassell. I see like report. I don't want anybody that's like washed up. I don't want. Who's that other Lloyd Pierce? I don't want that. I don't want anybody that hasn't like that has proven.
Yo, I'm telling you, you don't want Lloyd Pierce. I saw this. It might have been like Celtics on NBC, something like that on Twitter. Tweeted like, oh, could the Celtics look into a coach who didn't have like not like a reclamation project for coach, but something like that? Could they look in like in some retreads like Lloyd Pierce or David Fizdale? I was laughing my ass off.
Yeah.
I don't think Fizdale will ever coach in the NBA again. I think just the fact that basically the same exact roster went from when he was coaching there. I think they were literally 4-20, and this year we were 41-31 with essentially the same roster.
Nate, do you have?
He will not
any,
ever coach again.
Coaching opinions.
Oh
No.
yeah, who do you guys want? I know Ashton, you were talking about like some Terry Stotts, some Becky Hammon, D'Antoni. And Nate, do you have anyone? In mind? What do you think of like? Yeah, I'll see if you have. I'll ask. Do you have anyone in mind?
No, so I don't really have any thoughts. I'm not as tuned in, I would say, to the NBA as you guys, and so I don't really know who's out there who would be available off the top of my head. But what I have been saying is I would like to model something like that Philly did. You know, for instance, they've been a relatively underachieving team, I'd say, for the past 3 years with star talent, and I think that was exactly what the Celtics were this year. And so it's pretty much the same team as last year. I know they had some injuries last year, but they just brought in Doc Rivers and a couple of veteran pieces, and now they were the number 1 seed, right? Mm-hmm. And you know, and so that kind of veteran coach, I think, would be good for the Celtics. That's just kind of what I would like to model.
And we're gonna get that in Dan.
Yeah, and
you know, or Terry Stotts, because he was the Portland coach for forever, and D'Antoni, of course, was the Rockets. And where did he move to?
he's like an assistant with the Nets now.
Okay, yeah, but he was on the Lakers teams.
Yeah, he was on the Lakers. The Knicks had him for like 2 or 3 years. Yeah, he was Suns, Knicks, Lakers, Phoenix. He probably had someone else in there.
Yeah, but you know, that's just it's going to look different, you know.
Yeah, the thing about D'Antoni that kind of worries me is he's just not a defensive coach, and you have guys there like Tatum, Brown, Smart, Robert Williams. Like those that's like your core of your team basically, and a lot of those guys are not defensive first, but good like plus defenders. And I don't know. I wouldn't want D'Antoni to ruin some shit like that, but also his offensive system could definitely unlock guys like Tatum and Brown. But what would you think? I know, like, one of the hot coaching names out there is Jason Kidd. What's your opinion on Jason Kidd?
I mean, whatever. You know what I mean? I mean, he was good for a little while there, and he was Brooklyn for a little while. He was
like Brooklyn for like a year or two, and then the Bucks for like a year or two, and
right.
I don't know. I really didn't think he did a good job with the Bucks. Like Giannis swore by him, but I don't think he was a great head coach. I think he knows. Obviously, he's an incredibly smart basketball mind, but that doesn't mean you're going to be a good head coach necessarily. And I mean, we've seen 2 different Jason Kidd tenures, and he hasn't really accomplished very much of anything.
Right.
And I think they're kind of hoping like, oh, let's hope this guy has potential, but like it's not like he's a player who was drafted in the top 3, and it's like, oh, let's see if this guy still has potential. Like you're pretty much either a good coach or you're not. I don't know. I don't think Jason Kidd should be getting this much buzz.
No.
I think it just has to be someone that garners respect, you know, because not to like beat a dead horse with my Doc Rivers take here, but you know, like Ashton's been on the record talking to me at least about Brad Stevens and how
that was off the record. Just for the record, that was
off the record. Sorry. But how passive he is as a coach, and how, you know, one of the things he says is everyone on the Celtics has the green light from 3 in close situations.
Yeah, put that on the record.
And Brad, you know, it feels like he's just so passive with his players, and you need a guy in there that's not afraid to, you know, get up to his players and be like, hey, you know, we love having you here. You're a great role player, but let's not fucking shoot a 3 right now, you know. Yeah, something like that.
Absolutely. I don't want I don't want any shot clock buzzer beater to end with, Romeo Langford or Jabari Parker or Grant Williams. Yeah, Grant Williams in any quarter. You know what I mean? That's just not me. So I to your point, Nate, yeah, I'd like to see a coach step in and exactly, kind of restrict that and let guys grow, but let them grow into their own role. Al, do you have another question for Nate here before?
Yeah, I had a bunch of Celtics questions that I was thinking of. We kind of talked about Kemba a little bit. But ultimately, is Kemba Walker on this team next year?
Ooh.
No, I think that was I think many reports came out about that right at the end of the season that they want. I think it was a quote unquote breakup, right?
That was shocking to me. I mean, Nate and Chad Willard and some other people I were talking to were not shocked by that information at all. But I was very taken aback. I just kind of thought we were going to live with Kemba's mediocrity for another season, and that would have been fine. But apparently not.
I don't know how I feel about the idea because it seems like the consensus is to just trade him for nothing or give up assets just to get rid of him.
Right.
So that scares me a little bit. But I think it just has to be done at this point, really.
Yeah, I'm not like a big believer in the trade assets to get rid of a player. Like here's the thing, Kemba's not as good as he was in his prime, but he's not that terrible. You know what I mean? He's still probably like an above average. If we're ranking the starting point guards in the league, right? There's 30 teams. Like Kemba's still in the top 15, I would say. Like,
right.
He's still an above average starting point guard in the NBA, and maybe a full offseason where he's not rehabbing a knee surgery or some shit like that.
Yeah,
he misses the first month, and he might be a better player, or maybe for some reason like him and Brad Stevens didn't really get along with a coach-player relationship, but like they were like cool with each other. So like he's still there in the front office, but maybe he works better with whatever coach gets brought in or something like that. I mean, I think if you trade Kemba, it's for another similar player like that. Like I know like Porzingis is probably in the same boat right now, like huge contract, not living up to it, like definitely still has potential but also has injury issues. Like I feel like you trade him for somebody like that still has upside, instead of let's attach a first round pick or two just to wipe the slate clean and not have to pay him, and then hope we get another free agent that's as good, or fill out the rest of the team with role players and hope that product is as good.
Yeah, totally. But I'm on the same page as you, but it seems like the consensus was from the team and from the report was that Kemba himself wanted out, right?
Oh, so, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
And,
yeah. Sorry, again.
No, you're good. But, like, ultimately, what do you think the Celtics do? Because I think Tatum's there next year. I think Brown's there next year.
Yep.
I don't see... You shouldn't trade Marcus Smart. I mean, you just... Like, every team needs a glue guy like that. He's the Celtics glue guy, and... I really like what I saw out of Robert Williams. I think he reminds me a lot of when I watched the Knicks with Mitchell Robinson, and a player like that's incredibly valuable. Like Robert Williams might be an all defensive, like he might make an all defense team in his career.
Yeah, I think definitely shades of Mitchell Robinson.
Yeah, but I think besides those four guys, I don't know who the hell else is going to be back. Like, who are your targets? Would you say?
Well, I think before targets too, right? I think the number one thing as a Celtics fan is you pray for health right now, right? So, of course, you had the Jalen Brown injury. Robert Williams was just, I think I said it before, he's banged up from head to toe. Like he has a chronic hip. He had turf toe.
Jesus.
He had the knee injury. He rolled his ankle. I think that's why he was out the rest of the Nets series. So something like that. And if Kemba happens to be back, you pray for health for him too, right? So I think before we even start like looking at acquisitions, you gotta hopefully the key pieces on the current team can become healthy for a long period of time, because I think people like Robert Williams has never been healthy for a long period of time yet.
No, that's definitely true. And then so some other like the veteran, I guess, role players that you guys brought in, like you traded for Fournier at the deadline, you brought in Jabari Parker, you signed Tristan Thompson. Do you think all those guys are one and done? Or would you be interested in bringing any of those guys back?
Yeah, so like when the Fournier deal was done, I was like really psyched about that. I think that was
Fournier's great.
Yeah, I think it was a good veteran piece to bring in to score off the bench, and I think that is exactly what we thought the team needed at the time. So as far as him, I would love to bring him back. I'm a little scared on what that contract would be for like an older player like that, because we already have a bad contract on the team in Kemba Walker. But if Kemba's moved and you can afford it, then absolutely, yeah.
and then Jabari and Tristan Thompson can go to hell.
Well, I like TT. I think TT brings a nice veteran presence again. I think during the regular season, he was kind of underperforming, but like he also had COVID. I mean, like Tatum had COVID, Fournier had COVID.
Right.
So I mean, but like I like what he brought in the playoffs a lot. As far as Jabari Parker goes, I didn't really see a ton from him, I would say.
I've always liked Jabari too. I've always rooted for him, especially because like I don't know. I followed him since he was like in high school, and like I don't know. So like just one of those guys. I was like, I really hope he becomes nice. And then he just had the 2 ACLs, and I've just like always wanted him to become kind of like he'll never become the player that he was supposed to be, but just to kind of reclaim that a little bit. So I always kind of root for him a little. But yeah, I think I have no idea what Boston is going to look like. I don't know who's going to get brought in as that coach. I'm trying to think, like, sure, like D'Antoni definitely is like the veteran coach who's been around. He's got the 6-second offense. He's like played the small ball, like I'm sure he'll be throwing Tatum at the 5 if he's the coach. Another guy you could probably look into is like Kenny Atkinson. Like he did a really good job with developing the Nets before they let him go. So I don't know who the coach is going to be. I don't really know the personnel. And then even Brad Stevens, like I feel like Brad Stevens was still one of probably the 5 best coaches in the NBA. And I feel like it's such a big risk to take that out of the equation, even though he's like definitely very passive. It doesn't get on guys like he should. But like plenty of guys could end up being really good coaches and they get in the front offense and they just don't have that same, I don't know, that same it factor. And I don't know, I'm kind of worried for you guys that that's going to be what Brad Stevens is.
Yeah, like we have no idea what he would be like as a GM. Like we have nothing to go off of there. So it's like me personally, I thought like you make him like a lot of teams will have like the coach become the president, like Popovich, or like what Doc Rivers was doing with the Clippers for a little bit. Like I figured you do that first, and then if he does a good job and he likes that better, then he becomes the president. But I thought I was shocked when I think Ashton texted that shit to me. I was shocked. I told Ashton this too. I saw an article. Actually, I heard it on a local sports talk radio, and I know you always gotta take that kind of stuff with a grain of salt. But there was something that came out, like an underground thing, that Tatum actually did not like playing for Brad Stevens, and he did not want to continue playing for him. Yeah, so apparently, according to this take, that was part of the reason behind the move. But obviously, take that with a grain of salt because I heard it on 95 The Sports Hub. But
a little shout out there for them. Al, are there any closing remarks you have before we wrap here?
If you on the Celtics, on the Knicks, or what?
Anything that you
anything
that you want to tell us before we? Nate's got to catch his window was small here.
yeah, Al, let's get that baseball minute in here. Let's hear about those Yankees.
Yeah. Go for it.
Oh, I don't really want to talk about the Yankees right now, but if we gotta.
Nobody ever wants to talk about the Yankees, Al, but unfortunately, you're the only guy that I'm friends with that's a Yankees fan. I don't let myself befriend too many.
Well, I'm glad I was able to make the cut there, but the Yankees are playing terrible fucking baseball right now. Let me tell you, like the team just they can't ever click at the same time. They can't ever be healthy at the same time. I mean, Giancarlo Stanton was on the IL for a little bit. Luke Voigt's been on the IL twice. Who else am I forgetting? I feel like everybody's been on the IL, but I guess not. Whatever. We've had some guys in the IL, but it's just the inconsistency. I mean, Aaron Judge, fantastic. I don't really have a bad thing to say about him. Garrett Cole, fantastic. Don't really have a bad thing to say about him. But just as a whole, the team can't fucking hit. Like, they'll score 2 runs, 3 runs a game, and then hope that's going to be enough. Like, that works if Garrett Cole's the starting pitcher, and maybe Corey Kluber before he got hurt, and that's about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, the team can't fucking hit, and now all of a sudden the last week we've been hitting, and we've been giving up 8 fucking runs a game. I don't get it. Like,
yeah, so I think on the hitting side for the Yankees too, I think A-Rod was bringing this a lot up on that broadcast against the Red Sox on Sunday Night Baseball a couple weeks ago. I think a lot of it stems from the way the roster is constructed. You guys have one left-handed hitter in the lineup. I'm pretty sure. And
Oh yeah.
right field, the Yankee Stadium's at 20 feet. You know, Yankees have always been known for having sluggers in the left-handed box, and entire lineup is all righties right now.
Yeah. And like I mean, for me growing up, even the old Yankee Stadium, they still had a little short porch. Like we had like Giambi, Matsui, and then later on like Teixeira, even like Nick Swisher, Johnny Damon. Like these dudes were abusing the short porch, abusing that shit. Yeah, and I mean like our lefty in the lineup a lot of times we've been throwing Brett Gardner at center field lately. He has 1 home run in the season. And then Ruben Odori's got a couple homers, but usually his home runs go a mile. Like he doesn't really hit like these pop-up cheapies. He either hits the ball 400 feet or he misses that shit sometimes, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, exactly. I have to, like, I think A-Rod is very hit or miss for me as a commentator. I think he says like a lot of really basic shit. He says so much stupid shit that pisses me off. But he's really not wrong. Like You go down the roster. We got Judge, we got Stanton, we got Voit, we got Sanchez. Those 4 guys right there. Those are 4 right-handed power hitters that if they're not hitting home runs, I mean, Aaron Judge provides a lot more than just hitting home runs. I mean, even Giancarlo Stanton, like during his hot streak, like he was hitting a lot of singles. Like Aaron Judge gets on base, basically his on base percentage usually around like 400. Like he's walking, but these guys are basically like. If the pop isn't in their bat, they could be hitting 150 and providing nothing to the team, right? And then DJ LeMahieu, fantastic, usually. This year he's been terrible. Like, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Like, I hope he picks it up. And I was a big proponent of bringing him back just because he was arguably our best hitter the last 2 years anyway. But, I mean, again, not a lot of contact guys. Like Andujar's been... I've always been an Andujar guy. He's actually making a couple nice plays out in the outfield. He's been gunning guys out, just like stretching for second base and shit. Honestly, was never even expecting to see any of it. So any fielding we get out of him is a bonus. But I really like his bat. Torres, just the pop in his bat is gone. Like he's been hitting the ball decently well. He's been drawing a lot of walks, but I mean, he's basically become like a singles hitter. And that's not really what we expected after he hit 38 home runs in his second full season. But, I mean, that's whatever. And I don't know, just as a whole, the team just never clicks. The team's never fully healthy. And really, there's only one good starting pitcher. And we're 1 game above 500 right now and in 4th place. And I don't really... You know how you guys kind of felt about the Celtics this year? That you guys were... underachieving. Like Jaylen Brown was great, Jason Tatum was great, but overall the team underachieved.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so I kind of feel like it's the same thing with the Yankees. Like Aaron Judge is probably gonna be like a top 3 or 5 MVP candidate. Garrett Cole might win the Cy Young. Like Giancarlo Stanton has his fucking hot streaks where he hits 10 homers in like 4 days. But overall, the team just, it's not fun to watch. It's not a good product, and I still think the team has to go all in just because of the amount of talent that's on the roster. But I'm genuinely scared. Like right now we're playing the Blue Jays. They've kicked our ass this year. If we lose this series, all of a sudden we're 500 or 2 games under 500 if we get swept.
Yeah, the Blue Jays are good. Blue Jays are good, man.
They are. Fucking Vladdy's probably the MVP right now. I mean, Bichette's crazy. I mean, I think, did they take 3 out of 4 against you guys? Or did you guys split?
We split because we just walked it off today.
Oh, you did? Shit.
Yeah, my
That
boy
sucks.
Raffy Devers.
Oh my God, yo, I love Raffy Devers. Raffy Devers is one of my least favorite players in all of baseball. Something about just seeing his face fucking pisses me off.
Okay, so he's actually my favorite player in all of baseball. So
I understand that. Like, I'm sure if Devers were on the Yankees, I'd fucking love him. But
yeah,
like,
I'd be upset too if Gio Urshela was my third baseman. I understand now.
You know, the thing is, like, I haven't even mentioned Gio Urshela's name. Gio Urshela's just, he's just solid. You know what I mean? Fantastic fielder, great hitter. He's not jumping off the, like,
I know.
His bat's not jumping off the page. His fielding is. His fielding's fantastic. I know Rafael Devers plays with a giant hole in his fucking glove, but Gio Urshela doesn't. But
Well, as much as I love to hear about how bad the Yankees are.
Do you think is this Boston team legit? Before we hang up, is this Boston team legit? You guys winning this division this year, or at least I mean the Rays are probably winning that shit. But
Well,
you guys making the wild card, making a little playoff noise?
Yeah, so as far as winning the division, I think it's the best division in baseball right now, so it's tough
Absolutely.
to predict
No,
that.
absolutely.
But the team's legit. I mean, they are legit. The hitters are scary. At least 2 through 6 hitters are the 2 through 6 is the best in the league. Pitching lineup is so much improved from last year, and we still got that weapon Chris Sale coming back soon. So
Yeah, I was going to talk about Chris Sale. I mean, if he comes back, I thought you guys' pitching was going to be horrible. I thought it was going to be Eduardo Rodriguez, like maybe Nasty Nate Eovaldi and just bums. But you guys have really pieced it together. And if Chris Sale comes back nice, I'll be honest, that's kind of scary. But why don't you guys like lead off with Verdugo?
yeah, I hate that.
Do you know the reasoning?
I don't, but I hate that he's not leading off because he was a great leadoff last year.
You guys are throwing like Danny Santana. He fucking sucks.
We've been experimenting with Kike Hernandez, Danny Santana. I like when Christian Arroyo's been in the leadoff spot. He's been halfway decent, but I still want Verdugo there.
I feel like, especially in the modern MLB, like every team's embraced analytics at this point, and a lot of teams. I mean, they don't necessarily put the guy who has the highest on-base percentage, but that's definitely a big factor. What's his name? Danny Santana. His on-base percentage is like 245. Like, that was the stupidest shit I've ever seen. And we got swept by a fucking team that had Danny Santana as their leadoff hitter, I'm pretty sure all 3 games. I was fucking furious, bro. Fucking furious. But yeah, I don't know. Verdugo's really good. He's fast. It gets on base a lot.
You know,
he gets on base. He gets steal second. No, it's I do know you. I do know you love that.
You know that's one of my favorite things. But this is we'll have to wrap it here.
Alrighty.
But thank you. I'm really glad. Thanks again to Nate for coming out.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
This
guys, for
was
having
a lot
me.
of fun.
This was fun, yeah.
Yeah, we could definitely have you on more.
Phone me in.
Phone you in. Have you rile up Al about the Yankees for a little bit.
Yeah, that was the best part.
Absolutely.
But as always, thank you very much for listening, everybody, and stay tuned for the next episode. Al?
Absolutely. Yeah, hopefully we'll have a lot of fun off-season content coming up. I mean, we'll always be talking Knicks and Celtics. And, we hope you guys enjoyed this, and have a good one.
Thanks for listening. Bye.
Brock and Joe. Brock and Joe. Brock and Joe. Brock and Joe. Brock and Joe.